Now, with respect to SAVE, I'm not here to stand here to tell you that it's good policy. I'm not even going to defend the merits of the program. The fact is, our constituents sent us here to write a budget, to pass a state budget, and to fund higher education. We did that. We passed some revenue-raising measures that the governor has said he'll veto if they're not revenue neutral. It's an assessment per student that the student actually doesn't pay. It is paid by, it goes to the form of a tax credit, which goes to Regents, which would then, it's transferable, and Regents would then provide the money to the university.
Great answer.
That's what it does. Again, I told you, I'm not going to defend the merits of it. I think it's a rather peculiar way to set something up, but
is it? But would you say it's a fee? Then
no.
It's a fee, and then we're given a tax credit on the other side for this fee.
It's a fee that nobody's going to have to pay.
You mentioned that the Constitution gives the governor the authority to veto the budget or any other instrument that we might pass other than a resolution, right?
That's correct.
It also confers upon us the authority to override that veto.
That's correct.
Okay, but you left that part out.
Well, that's true. It would have to be done in a veto session, which we've never had.
Has something as foolish as the SAVE Act ever been done before? And you're
I'm sure
you're
it
there
has.
advocating for it.
I'm sure it has.
Representative Seaball, you mentioned a while ago that this is a fee that nobody has to pay. I want you to explain that to me.
Well, it creates, there will be an assessment per student that the student doesn't pay, and it will be in the form of a transferable, non-refundable tax credit.
If the students don't pay it and nobody pays it on behalf of the students, what are we assessing?
The Board of Regents is going to pay it to the university that the student enrolls in.
No. Who is paying the assessment? The Board of Regents, you said a while ago, is getting a tax credit. Who's paying the assessment?
It's all on paper. Assessed shall be granted a SAVE credit provided for in the section, and that shall be in the form of a tax credit that is automatically transferred to Regents.
Okay, and the Board of Regents, is that a tax exempt institution?
I believe it is.
So we're going to give them tax credits?
Yes.
Have we ever done that before?
To my knowledge, no.
Have we ever had a bill before that both assessed someone and created a credit, a tax credit in the same instrument?
I have no idea.
To your knowledge, has
to my knowledge, no.
Does this instrument, if it's amended with the SAVE Act, create any additional revenue for higher education other than what's already in the budget?
I don't believe it will.
So will the students claim, or the parents of the students claim, this credit on an individual income tax return?
I don't believe so, no.
Does that create some sort of a germaneness problem?
I don't think so. It's automatic. It's automatically transferred to Regents.
So it's an assessment the students don't have to pay in exchange for a tax credit that they cannot keep. Instead, it's automatically transferred to the Board of Regents, which is a tax-exempt institution.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, it might be correct, but it's pretty silly.
I don't disagree with you.
All right. Thank you, Representative Seaball.
I think we're doing it because the governor was elected, and this is his policy.
But,
yes, it's because he's trying to keep his pledge. I believe that's correct. That's correct.
Funding to higher education.
It
deals with the higher education. You only doing this because of the threat from the governor. So let's stop the baloney about higher education. SAVE doesn't say anything about funding the higher education. I'm going to keep talking while you get your orders from Lance.
I voted for 2.
You voted for 2? Okay. So I'll give you a little credit because you said we. And I think the we that you were talking about were those of us that had the sense to do the right thing and vote for all of those revenue measures to save higher education, because those were the real votes that save higher education, not this sham that you're proposing to us today. What authority is it to pass a budget, though?
Ours, and we did, and we passed a budget that funded higher ed.
The scripture that you go to over and over again when you need to draw on your faith?
Oh, it's not one particular scripture. You know, I'm a good Catholic, so don't ask me to quote the Bible. It's the general values that is all about, the general traditions, including forgiveness and redemption, and how we treat one another, particularly in a family unit and otherwise.
I will tell you, Matthew 25, doing for the least among us is incredibly important to me. But it's the second part of that really sticks with me, because we always know that the scripture, when Jesus said, you know, when you saw me hungry or thirsty or needing clothing or in prison or sick, he said, well, when did we see you that way? Well, when you did it for the least, you did it to me. But then he follows that up and he says, but when you saw the least among you and you didn't do it for them, that you also did not do for me. And so it's the second part that really reinforces the first. And it's one of those things about my faith that informs my policy positions. And I think we need to do what we reasonably can for the poor in Louisiana. I will tell you, James 2, faith without works is dead. You've got to have the works.